to AMS Eds. I know why the caged bird sings. An honest and dignified autobiographical poem composed by the 20th century feminist civil rights activist Maya Angelou. There are more to be added to her crown of titles. I list out her broad career here, but I stressed on just a few descriptions to emphasize the main aspects of a consequential figure as a woman. When you converse with your friends, you understand them well because you know them through and through. Poetry is a written form of the thoughts or feelings or emotions of the poet. If we need to understand the poem, we should know the poet first. Here, the poem being autobiographical, getting to know some personal details of the poetess will help us get a better understanding of her thoughts and expressions. We have a flashback here. When an innocent little girl of 7, Marguerite Annie Johnson, had a very traumatic experience. She was abused. She revealed this to her elder brother Bailey, and the guilty man was probably killed by her uncles when Bailey told the family about the unfortunate happening. This shook Angelou very much. She felt that her voice killed that man because she told his name. She feared that her voice would kill anyone, and she decided never to speak again. A self-enforced silence that lasted for 5 long years. And then she met a teacher, Mrs. Bertha Flowers. During those 5 years, whenever she got a chance, Marguerite used to read a lot. Actually, Marguerite was nicknamed Maya by Bailey, her brother, and later it turned out to be Maya. Mrs. Flowers' smile made a big impression on Maya. She was influenced by the teacher's style and unusual grace. Mrs. Flowers was a very patient teacher. She was determined to bring Maya out of her fears and encourage her to start speaking once again. So, one day, she challenged Maya to read poetry aloud if she really appreciated it. "You do not love poetry until you speak it," said Mrs. Flowers. Although Maya wasn't ready to give in at first, her love for poems and maybe her love for her dear teacher made her utter the words from a poetry book. She heard her own voice reciting the poem. The long spell of silence was broken at the age of 13. I borrow the same words of Mrs. Bertha Flowers. "You do not love poetry until you speak it." Let me recite to relish each little word that spells out the surge of emotions of Maya Angelou. I know why the caged bird sings. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Maya Angelou, the powerful African American poetess, brings about a symbolic expression of the discrimination, the marginalization faced by the oppressed African American race. Even as a young girl, she was doubly discriminated or treated unfairly due to two reasons: her race in being a Black American and her gender in being a woman. As you might have already noticed, I have used both good expressions and simple language for the detailing. This is to help you to understand the lesson clearly, as well as to learn good ways of expressing your ideas from an examination point of view. Even if you answer in simple language, it doesn't matter. But if you can try to learn and apply certain specific terms that would describe your ideas in a better way, that will be very beneficial for you. At times, I even give different ways of easy explanation for the same point to help those who have difficulty in understanding the first explanation. A few tips to help you understand poetry in a better way. Just glancing through the poem in front of you, you might feel that it's a simple description of a free bird versus a caged bird until you reach the 5th stanza, where you get stuck wondering, why and how does a bird which is caged stand on the grave of its dreams? Again, you find a repetition of certain lines and ideas. These aspects show us that it is not just the literal or word meaning that the poetess intends. There is something more to it. You may also find that reading through certain lines, we can actually see, imagine, or feel the ideas spoken by the poetess. It is like sketching pictures with words or making us feel her words. So, on the whole, we find that there is a lot of symbolism, imagery, and figures of speech used in poetry, which makes it different from ordinary prose or newspaper reports. We should try to think along with the poetess, to empathize with her feelings. We should look out for beauty, emotions, and hidden meanings in poetry to enjoy it to the best. And that's what I'm helping you with. Let's begin with a detailed study of the poem. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind. and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. The poem begins with the poetess showing us the picturesque view of a bird that is gliding in the wind. Effortlessly, it seems to be held up there in the sky and being carried by the wind wherever it blows. She has named this bird as the free bird. The bird leaps on the back of the wind and is carried downstream. That is, when wind or a river or any part of a water body flows steadily in one direction, it is called a current. If you get into a current of water, without much effort, we will be carried along in its direction. Downstream simply means in the direction of the current. Here the words current and downstream refer to the flow of direction of the wind. Being suspended thus, midway between the earth and the sky, the free bird is privileged to enjoy an extravagance, a beautiful pleasure of freedom, that is, dipping his wing in the orange sun rays, just as you would dip a delicacy in sauce to enjoy the best of flavors. The first stanza ends with the line, and dares to claim the sky. The two words, dares and claim, are very powerfully expressive of what she means, or they convey the exact idea of the kind of life enjoyed by the free bird. At any time, the bird is able to enjoy the splendor, the beauty, the unique or special experiences in nature during its flight up in the sky. This gives the free bird a feeling that everything around it is its own. To dare to do something, you need real courage, guts. To say that something is yours or to make something your own, you should never have a competitor or rules that will restrict you. That is, there should be no one or nothing to oppose your rights. That's what happens in the sky during the free bird's flight. So, Maya Angelou uses this expression. For example, if you see ripe mangoes on a tree on your daily route to school with nobody around to catch you when you pick a few, it will become a habit to pluck mangoes from that tree whenever you get a chance. If this continues for long, you get a feeling that your friends need your permission to pick mangoes from that tree because you were the one who found that tree first, and you become somewhat like the owner of that mango tree. You dare to assert your rights. This is the exact feeling of the free bird. So it dares to claim the sky. To give you a few more details, we shall just go through the figurative usages in the first stanza. Just as a person can leap onto something, the free bird is seen leaping onto the back of the wind. Like a man carries a load on his back, the wind carries the bird on the back. So we can say that the bird and the wind are personified. As we read through the stanza, we are able to imagine the scenery in our mind. The free bird gliding in the orange light of the sun. So we can say that there is visual imagery. The words leaps and floats make us sense that movement in our body. Then we say that there is kinesthetic imagery. When certain ideas are exaggerated, that is, made to appear more than what they actually mean, it is called hyperbole, figuratively. That's what we find when Maya says that the free bird dares to claim the sky. Well, I think that we should wind up for today. I had tried to help you in how you can appreciate, understand, and remember exactly what the poetess means. Go through this session as many times as you should to grasp the tips given to you. Then, learning poetry will just be a piece of cake. We'll meet again in the next session. Bye.